Quality equalization is used throughout our process. It is used primarily for compensating for those artifacts or those needs that could not happen during the recording, or for stylizing the sound. But unlike certain applications that are used in the recording process which lend to creative content, equalization can and is often used on every portion of the recording. That makes it critically important to have quality in your equalization. George's background has been into development and the study of equalization, not only in its usage, but when not to use it. One of the principal concepts behind Massenburg Design Works was George's ability to provide studio quality tools for everyone. The digital domain has allowed that. The process of developing tools for that domain has risen and grown throughout the years, and now we're very happy to see Roland's VS series provide this sort of power for every user. Our application is as good as it can be and as good as it is used in every major recording facility in the world.
We spent a lot of time developing a great digital equalizer. We wanted it to have the performance of a great analog equalizer. And I think, in my not so humble opinion, I built a great analog equalizer. We built a digital equalizer that utilizes a new filter form which was researched over a 2.5-year period. And our object was to make an equalizer that was responsive and musical and detailed. And we think we did it. We have a flexible interface that allows you to select between shelves, which are the most benign kind of equalization, and peaks and cutoff filters. And we work well for both kinds of equalization, both corrective and additive. Corrective equalization is equalization where you have a peak in a guitar, acoustic guitar, or a snare drum. Additive equalization is equalization where you would bring up all of the highs on a lead voice or the brightness on a snare drum. And the difference between corrective and additive is pretty obvious in spirit. In fact, when you're equalizing a snare drum, you use a combination of both. A snare drum, you would take very often a very sharp dip and pass it across the 100 to 200 hertz region to try to find where the body tone in a snare drum is really ringing, and locate that and take it down just enough. You know, it's like adding salt and pepper to a soup. You know, you add a little bit and taste and add a little bit more. So, you know, adjust it so what we call the boink is controlled in the bottom of the snare drum. And then to brighten it up a little bit, bring up a shelf on the high end. There are other things you can do to a snare drum, certainly, but this is kind of the starting point. Other things you could do would be to bring up a shelf on the low end, find a real metallic sound off the rim in the mid-range and bring up a peak, dial up a peak that brings up just that metallic sound. Our equalizer is a lot like a standard tool. It's like a screwdriver. My favorite metaphor at the NAMM show is the metaphor of photography in the 60s, where suddenly one manufacturer brought on a camera that was affordable and everyone could buy it and be able to take professional pictures. What we've given you in a great transparent equalizer is the ability to make a professional recording, limited only by your imagination and by your ear. And power, little things like power, you got to plug it in. What we're more like is the lens. We're the lens. You got to have a lens. You don't look at a picture and say, man, what a great lens. You look at a picture and you see the detail and the right balance and the color and the right balance and no funny little aberrations. And that's what this equalizer has, is that great quality, the great transparency with no aberrations. In the last 20 years, there's probably been no greater question in audio than whether digital audio sounds as good as analog. We think we've identified what sounded bad about digital audio at its inception in the early 80s. And we've had a lot of experience now. We're down the learning curve. One of the things is called resolution, or the number of bits that are captured and stored and manipulated. The resolution of many of these current products, certainly the Roland products, is said to be 24-bit resolution. You'll hear this term a lot, and I won't explain it here, but we believe it's better than 16-bit resolution. We don't know how much better. The other thing that we have identified is that there's an improvement. There's not much science behind the testing of it, but there's an improvement in recording and listening at 96 kilohertz. And although we're not sure why, we think it's important to support this for the highest quality recording. A lot of people still record at 48 kilohertz or at a lower sample rate, and to give the equalizer the performance of a 96 kilohertz equalizer, we internally, when you're working at 44.1 and 48K, we upsample to 96 kilohertz and 88.2 kilohertz, process our audio, do our equalization, and then downsample. This gives us a tremendously clean and flat response at the high end of the spectrum, particularly for shelves and shelves that go out to the what we call the air region, the 15 kilohertz to 18 kilohertz, 20 kilohertz region of voices and drums, the air region, the sweetness and the texture of music. Our equalizer internally is, in addition to 24-bit precision input and out, internally it's 48 bits processing. We do double precision, so to speak, double precision processing, again to get more resolution, to get incredible detail in the internal workings of the equalizer.